Before beginning class, we will run through a couple of things quickly. Please remove all distractions. That means to silence your phone, shut your door, and be ready to give your full attention to the class. And if you're joining us through watching the video, please have a word processor program open and running to follow along with the activities in your class report. Before we officially begin, we'll make sure everything is set up correctly. Please click reactions, raise hand to verify you can see each of the following. So can you see the red record in the upper left corner of the screen? Do you see quality check at the top of the screen? And can you hear me speaking right now? And everyone can, so please click lower hand. Welcome everyone to those who are with us today and those who are engaging with us asynchronously. It is Thursday, February 10th, 2022, and my name is Dr. Hochstein. Today we will be examining one of the three structures that make up the Community of Inquiry framework. Specifically, we'll be talking about cognitive presence as discussed in Chapter 6 of Garrison's 2014 book, Thinking Collaboratively, Learning in a Community of Inquiry. For our learning objectives, at the end of the session, you should be able to briefly describe cognitive presence, including its key structural feature, which is the merging of private thoughts and shared thoughts. But before we go into details, I'd like everyone to share a recent time you've seen a group figure out a problem. Please raise your hand when you're ready for me to call on you and be as brief as possible, but make sure to say what the problem was and why being in a group made the problem solving easier or more difficult. And when called on, make sure you hit the microphone icon at the bottom left of the screen before you start to talk, or we won't be able to hear you. For those of you watching this as a video, please write your answers in the class report. Who would like to go first? Joe.
Yeah, real quick. One thing I can think of is kind of a training course that I was involved with. It was kind of like a project management course, and it had everyone in small groups, and they were supposed to, go through the different issues that might come up during, while you're being a project manager and how you would solve those and things like that. So that's something I can think of offhand.
Okay. Dawn.
So this is a fun one. We bought a new to us house, but it was the older home, and the inspector said everything's great, the plumbing, and then we started noticing one of the bathrooms had a small leak in the toilet. And so we took the toilet off. We're going to put a new one on, and we realized that the flange was sideways. So as a family, we tried to troubleshoot that, and we ended up calling a plumber, of course.
That sounds like the right solution. Dusty.
I wanted to give like an example of when it was really great, but I can't right now. Because the most recent group I'm in is involved with it's a collaborative process between several entities, and it's involved with getting a big lot of money and a grant. And right now, everyone has a different idea of what we're supposed to be doing, and it's virtually impossible to make progress because of that, because we're not on the same page with our goals.
Well, and that's one of the issues with group work. We'll be talking about group work more in terms of sort of separate from the leadership roles, because the teaching presence, where you would see that, is a topic for a talk for a different time. Community of Inquiry framework is a comprehensive, widely researched and referenced theory that is built on the contributions of social presence, cognitive presence, and teaching presence for online and blended approaches to learning. While research such as Garrison et al. 2010, Shea, and Bigerno, 2009, supports this framework's assertion that a dynamic relationship exists between those three components. Today, we'll only be discussing one of those, the cognitive presence. Cognitive presence within a community of inquiry refers to the development of a deeper understanding of a topic or problem by a combination of private and public thoughts. Put another way, individual reflection and public discourse are put together for growth of understanding to happen. Because we're defining cognitive presence within the theoretical framework of the community of inquiry, it's important to keep in mind that this is different than just one person telling everyone else what the correct answers are, or by simply just giving content. There needs to be an interaction between the individuals participating, and while there can and should be a teaching presence, cognitive presence means the individuals are learning from each other by sharing their half-formed understandings throughout the process of learning. Before we move on to our big activity, let's do a quick check of vocabulary term understanding. So we will launch that poll. For those of you who are watching this as a video, the poll questions are here at the bottom of the screen. So go ahead and answer the poll questions for the people who are here. Okay. It looks like everyone got learning or problem solving by yourself as individual reflection. Learning or problem solving by yourself and in a group, unfortunately, should have been cognitive presence. And learning or problem solving interactively in a group should be public discourse. Sorry. So we had the majority of those right. So we're going to be doing a quick case study to demonstrate that fusion of individual reflection and public discourse. And while there's a difference between developing a deeper understanding of a topic and solving puzzles, the same principles apply to both, and puzzle solving is just a much faster and fun activity. So when prompted, we'll have you go to a Google slide using the address that is just about to be listed in the chat room. Don't open the slide quite yet. Once you do, though, you'll see 10 number initial puzzles, and you'll try to complete them by yourself. For this step, don't write the answers on the Google form. After 2 minutes of working by yourself, I'll have you enter one of those 4 breakout groups. And as there's only 3 participants today, everyone should select breakout room 1 as the room to join once you've been prompted to do so. And then once there, work together using audio chat to complete as many of the puzzles as you can. And when you have an answer, write it behind the problem like you see in the example. You'll only have another 2 minutes here, so you'll have to work fast. Once your group's 2 minutes is through, Zoom will automatically transfer you back to the main room where you'll share your results. And if you're watching this as a video, we'll have you work on the problems yourself for the full 4 minutes instead of joining a group. Does anyone have any questions? I know we're running through this quickly. Okay, then click on the link in the chat room and start to work on those problems yourselves. And you've got just about a minute left for working on them yourselves. Okay, time's up for step one. If you would select breakout room 1 and join with the rest of your group to solve the puzzles via audio chat. Should I just move you, Dusty? You're mute.
Yes, it
Okay.
didn't give me an option. It didn't pop up. So could you thank
Yep.
you.
Just about got it. So we're putting the actual correct answers on here. So how did we do?
This was challenging.
I'm sorry?
This was challenging.
Good. It should have been challenging. That was sort of that was the point. So it looks like the first one you got. That is interesting. 99 bottles of beer on the wall. I see what happened there. For some reason, well, I see what happened there. We're not quite matching up with the answers that I gave and the questions that you gave, and then the questions that you answered. But you did get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. I'll give you 7. So you did manage to get 7 of them together as a group. So in the chat box, let me know what the difference was between how many you got correct by yourself versus how many the group got correct. So as an example, if the group solved 3 more than you did individually, you chat something like 3 more with the group. And for those of you watching this as a video, let me know if you think your final score would have been higher had you been able to work with others. One moment while I switch over. Okay, so it looks like pretty much everyone was helped out by the group, which is good. Anyone care to say what was particularly helpful about being a part of the group?
I mean, just the collective thought was helpful because I definitely wouldn't have gotten the others. So,
and that sounds about right. So our activity reflects what needs to happen for cognitive presence through the use of problem solving. Using the text chat, what part of the demonstration corresponds to individual reflection? Which part responds to public discourse? And for those of you watching this as a video, please write your answers in your class report. Nicely put, Dusty. Well done, Joe. And good job, Dawn. So the first 2 minutes was individual reflection. The last few was public discourse. So what we've learned, cognitive presence as a part of the community of inquiry is the development of deeper understandings of a topic through a fusion of individual reflection and public discourse. And so that cognitive presence is one of the 3 structures that makes up the community of inquiry framework. Before we end, I've got 2 questions for you to reflect on. Would we have seen as much understanding without the group interaction? But just as importantly, would we have seen as much understanding if you hadn't had time to reflect on the answers before contributing to the group? Give those answers in your class write-up, and that's also going to be the case for those of you watching this as a video. Thank you. Today's session is complete, and let me know if you have any additional questions.